Hi everyone, welcome back to the last TD of the semester and the final part of the Python series. Today's topic is on automation using Python. So I'm a little sick, so I'll apologize in advance if you can't understand some of the things I say throughout this TD. But we'll touch upon some skills and ideas we have learned in the previous two TDs. But don't worry if you haven't watched them. I'll still go over the code line by line. And as a reminder, you need to complete 2 of the 3 TDs for this semester in order to receive those pro points for the technical development track. So that means if you have already done the previous 2 TDs, then this one is not mandatory for you to complete, but you're welcome to follow along. If you only completed one of the 2 previous TDs, then you must complete this one. And if this is your first one for the semester, I'm sorry, you're no longer eligible to receive pro points for the fall semester, but you can try again in the spring and stay to learn about automation using Python. Okay, now let's get started. Automation and why does it matter? Well, automating everyday or tedious tasks gives businesses the ability to streamline their workflows, saving them time and reducing errors that can occur when doing it manually. It also enables businesses to focus on the things that require their thoughts and their engagement, and this ultimately saves the business money in the long run. And it also provides uniformity and consistency in what they put out and how they run. Now, I really want to emphasize the business application aspect of Python since we're studying MIS. So not only do we have to know how to use technology, we also have to learn how to apply it for analysis, decision making, processes, and more to enhance and meet the needs of businesses. So we're focusing on what we can enhance to make this business more efficient and more scalable to handle growth. Why Python for automation? Well, compared to many other programming languages, Python is very easy to read and comprehend, since Python's syntax resembles English. But Python also makes data management easy by offering several ways to store data, such as in objects like lists and dictionaries, as well as the ability to create your own data structures. And lastly, Python comes with a huge set of libraries that make automating tasks a whole lot easier, since we don't have to code more and instead install libraries and import modules instead. And that'll have the same functions and methods laid out for us already. These libraries make automation like machine learning and system management a lot more simple to create. So I had already listed just a few applications automation can really help improve, but here are just some more examples. You can automate reading and writing files. You can automate consolidating tasks. So if there's like a daily or tedious task you have to do, you can automate it to save more time and reduce errors from manually doing that task. Overall, this makes the process more efficient as well. Automation is also good for customer service, like creating an AI chatbot, which I really want to show you guys today. But after creating the exercises, I realized that we won't have enough time in this TD to probably go over it. But yeah, creating an AI chatbot that can receive and send relevant company information. You can also automate emails to customers with a standard message, but also make it personal. You'll see an example of this today in our exercise, and you'll see what I mean. But another automation application you could do is you can interact with APIs to get information from websites, and this can be done by web scraping as well. You can take inventory and manage company information or documents on an automated management system as well. This can be done where it takes conditions and routes its output to a decision determined by these conditions. You can also reformat and convert images, for example, from PNG to JPEG if needed, automatically. Um, let's say if a system or a program only accepts a certain image format, you can automatically reformat these images to fit the system. It can also organize data automatically to standardize maybe like document management structures. And finally, like I said before, it can get information from websites like the weather or the news and display it somewhere convenient for you without having to log in manually. So API stands for Application Programming Interface and enables different applications to communicate with each other. It also acts as an intermediary layer that processes data transfers between systems and this lets companies open their applications, data, and functionality to other companies, businesses, and developers. This helps businesses connect to many different applications they may use in their day-to-day operations, and ultimately it saves them time and money. You can see this with Uber, where they utilize Google Maps with their riders and their drivers to calculate trips. It can also be seen in third-party logins. Like I see this with my both my Gmail account and my Temple student account. So in the last TD, we had worked with CSV files to train machine learning models on Collab, but I realized that I didn't have time to explain exactly what they were last time. So if you didn't know already, CSV stands for comma separated values. They're just plain text files that are basically like Excel spreadsheets, except with all the styling and features of a spreadsheet. And Python makes it easier to work with CSV files with its CSV module. To show you an example of exactly what we're dealing with, take a look at this example. So if you were comparing it to an Excel spreadsheet, each line in a CSV file represents a row in the spreadsheet. So remember, rows go horizontally across, and not to be mistaken with the columns, which go vertical. And commas separate each value in a CSV file, which are comparative to the cells in a row on a spreadsheet. There's also ways to import CSV files into a spreadsheet, and ways to export an Excel spreadsheet into a CSV file. So versatility is a good advantage. Other benefits of CSV files are its compact format, making it take up less space, and it can be transferred faster than Excel files. They can also be inspected, modified quicker due to its simple and straightforward format, and they can be opened in a simple text editor or another program such as Python or Visual Studio Code, which we are familiar with. Python is also another popular file format, which is short for JavaScript Object Notation. But don't worry, you don't need to know JavaScript in order to work with it. But JSON is just a text format that resembles human readable text and consists of attribute value pairs and arrays. The attribute serves as the key, while the value corresponds with the associated data. And then JSON defines only two data structures, which are objects and arrays. An object is just a set of name value pairs, and an array is a list of values. These values can be 7 types. They can be strings, numbers, objects, arrays, true, false, and null. You can see an example of a JSON here, where the first opening curly bracket on line 1 up until the last closing curly bracket on line 18 make up a whole JSON object with an array of objects encased within, which is marked by the opening straight bracket on line 1 and then the closing straight bracket on line 17. Remember back to Python basics where arrays are identifiable with their straight brackets, and then they can store multiple items within. And within these arrays are nested objects identifiable with their curly brackets, and in this case, there are 3 within this array of objects, each identified with blue brackets. And finally, within these objects can contain multiple attribute value pairs, and the attributes in quotes in blue to the left of the colon acts as a key, and the values to the right of the colon in brown quotes is associated with the corresponding data. And this data is organized in lists. Remember, lists are identified with straight brackets, and in our case, the value types for all of them are strings. So JSON is useful to know because many websites use JSON format when providing an API or application programming interface, and you can access and interact with these contents of a website using APIs. Finally, Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet editor developed by Microsoft, and it has grids of cells arranged in numbered rows and letter-named columns to organize its data. It can display data types like whole numbers, decimals, text, monetary data, dates and times, percents, and so on. It can also display graphs like line charts, histograms, and pie charts. And in the example, you can see that the columns are categorized by letters ranging from A to Z, with each holding cells with their respective values. And then the rows are numbered down, holding cells with values corresponding to an individual company's stock. But don't get confused with one another when you go to write your code. Remember, rows are horizontal and go across, and then columns are vertical and go down. And then each column and rows have cells within that store values, and for this example, they hold values like text, whole numbers, decimals, percents, and monetary values. Okay, now let's move on to the Anaconda installation we'll be using for exercise. If you already have Anaconda already installed inside your PC, you can skip over this step and move on straight to the exercise. We'll be using an Excel file, a Gmail API, and then Visual Studio Code for this TD.